He's tried to kill his mom, he's built a time machine, and he speaks better English than 90% of adults. You guessed it, we're talking about Stewie Griffin. A baby, a supervillain, a time traveler, a conflicted bisexual, and a loyal friend. Although his character has evolved over time, this is how we were first introduced to the baby supervillain of Family Guy. Today, we're tracing Stewie's entire story, from his murder plots and time travel adventures to his therapy sessions and boutique pizza empire.
Are you serious? I'm in, but mostly to get a Michelin star. It's always been my dream to have my culinary talents validated in print by a tire company.
So, let's not waste a second and dive into the entire story of Stewie Griffin.
Worried about? Oh God!
Stuart Stewie Gilligan Griffin is introduced as a 1-year-old prodigy whose speech and intellect far exceed his age. From the very start, he speaks with an upper-class British-style accent and uses vocabulary and phrasing that makes him sound like a tiny Victorian scholar. Yep, he's quoting philosophers before he's even potty-trained. Early Stewie is defined by grandiose ambition and a comic book supervillain energy. And we mean full Dr. Evil mode.
Victory is mine!
Yes, and this cake is yours too.
In the first seasons, he obsessively plots to kill his mother Lois, often fantasizing about elaborate methods and large-scale devices to make that murder happen. Those plots are as absurd as their details. He's not just drawing stick figures, he's literally building mind-control satellites in his playpen and other real-world contraptions. His intelligence is placed against his baby reality. He can research philosophers' ideas and monologue about the universe while still not understanding a toilet. Evil genius IQ 200. Toilet training? Still pending. The show leads into the mismatch between appearance and ability, making his elongated football-shaped head and baby behavior the visual punchline to his monstrous plans. Even his insults are theatrical and archaic, with Stewie using terms that sound like they're pulled from Shakespeare rather than daycare. During this season, he also displays a sociopathic streak, casually threatening family members, including verbal threats against his sister Meg. Despite the menace, early Stewie scenes are staged as broad satire. His actions are funny because the contrast between toddler form and megalomaniacal content is so extreme. But then, in Season 2, we're introduced to a rather softer comedic vulnerability when Stewie encounters a romantic interest at daycare and suddenly becomes awkward and flustered. The evil baby gets feelings?
Stewie, what have you done?
The structure of those episodes demonstrates the writers expanding the character, because he's no longer purely a walking villain. He can be humiliated, smitten, or emotionally compromised. A landmark moment for his character dynamic appears in the Road to Rhode Island arc, where his partnership with Brian receives heart and depth during a stranded road trip. In that story, Stewie reveals doubts about his origins and shows emotional cracks that suggest more complexity than one-dimensional villainy. Wait, is this the same guy who tried to kill his mom 2 episodes ago? Season 3 then amplifies the anxiety theme when Lois contemplates her other child and Stewie reacts with terror at being replaced, even attempting extreme measures to stop the new baby. These episodes use sci-fi gags like Stewie shrinking and infiltrating Peter's body that keep the tone cartoonish while exploring his fear of obsolescence. He also meets a half-brother, Bertram, in this era, and their relationship further complicates his identity as a genius baby. By the end of Season 3, Stewie isn't just a villain. He's a villain with depth, and things are about to get even weirder. Season 4 to 6 are where the show gets brave and messy. The writers stop treating Stewie as a one-note threat and start letting him be weird, wounded, and performatively theatrical. Don't worry, he's still evil. Just now, his evil comes with a flair for melodrama. Think villain meets soap opera. We see Stewie move from solo supervillain to comic partner in crime. Episodes let him team up with Peter, stumble through strange father-son beats, and show that the little tyrant can be humbled, humiliated, and oddly affectionate. Yup, the same baby who plotted world domination is now literally helping Peter screw up his own plans. Then Season 6 turns up the dial with the 2-part arc where Stewie appears to finally execute the long-threatened murder of Lois. Wait, did he just... Yes, but hold on, it's not what it seems. In Stewie Kills Lois and Lois Kills Stewie, the show pushes the idea of his darkness to a dramatic peak. For viewers, it's kinda jarring, because what happens when the long-time running gag actually happens?
Stewie, your reign of terror has come to an end. I will not stand by while you make innocent people suffer.
Bring it on, bitch! Time for me to finish what I started anyway.
Then comes the twist, revealing much of that horror as a simulation Stewie constructed, which wholly reframes the arc. The fantasy of a victory becomes a study in what his ambitions would cost him. It's less a punchline and more a reckoning. After that two-parter, the show leans into Stewie's theatrical instability instead of using him as a straight-up menace. He's still petty and brilliant, but now his jokes often come wrapped in vulnerability, which makes him more reusable and, surprisingly, more human. But little did we know, his time travel adventures and full-blown cinematic chaos were coming next. By season 7, the playground gets bigger. Stewie's genius becomes the vehicle for full-blown adventures, time travel, fantasy parodies, and episodes that stretch the show's style as far as the writers dare. Basically, the baby who once plotted to kill his mom is now running a one-baby Marvel universe. These arcs show Stewie flexing his brains for spectacle, instead of only for malice. Take the Time Machine episode. The road to Germany sends Mort into 1939 and turns the rescue mission into action movie bits and historical gags. And yes, he still does all this while wearing footy pajamas. Then later, The Road to the Multiverse blasts open the multiverse with wildly different animation styles so that the show can literally play with form. Those are Stewie episodes that feel huge.
It seems we're in a universe where everything is drawn by Disney.
Road to the Multiverse in particular shows how these episodes are about more than jokes. The episodes are about visual experiments. The Hello Disney style sequence underlines that Stewie's world can be as weird and inventive as the writers want. Basically, the kid who once tried to take over the world is now an art director for chaos. And then there's Back to the Pilot. The crew revisits their origin, plays with paradox, and lets Brian and Stewie stumble into timeline chaos that is as emotionally surprising as it is silly. These arcs let the characters do big cinematic things, while still being himself. Sarcastic, terrifying, and absurdly overprepared. Season 7 to 10 transforms Stewie into an episodic action star of chaos. I mean, he still got the bite, but now it's used in service of explosions, time travel, and multiverse-level drama. Moving forward, the show pushes Stewie into identity territory. More diva, more self-conscious, and crucially, more open to be examined. Season 16's therapy episode is the crystallization of that shift. Yes, the same baby who tried to take over the world is now lying on a couch spilling his feelings. Therapy, apparently, is mandatory, even for geniuses. In the therapy session, Stewie drops layers. His British-style accent is presented as a cultivated persona, a shield he uses to feel special and separate. The episode literally pulls the mask off a little, and for once, we hear the baby's fragility as the punchline. He plays with performance musicals, mocking his therapist, cracking jokes to hide fear, and then the script forces him to face consequences for emotional cruelty. That's the point. The show lets us laugh, then wince, then feel. The result is a Stewie who's still theatrical and cunning, but whose ambitions are now tangled with questions about identity, loneliness, and the risk of being seen. Yes, even a murderous baby genius can have an identity crisis, and it's oddly relatable. It's a rare sitcom moment where the character's ambiguity, including sexual curiosity and non-binary possibilities, becomes a source of pathos rather than a one-line gag. Basically, Stewie went from plotting world domination to plotting his emotional growth.
Oh, God!
After his identity journey, the show lets Stewie settle into a richer groove. He's still chaotic, but he's also more a member of the family mosaic. Still outrageously funny, but with stakes that are smaller and often sweeter. A recurring emotional anchor remains Rupert, the teddy bear who functions as a confidant, family, and a prop for jealousy and reconciliation. Episodes where Rupert is lost, replaced, or weaponized show Stewie's capacity for grief, rage, and eventual healing. Toy drama that reads like relationship drama, Only Stewie can make a stuffed bear this intense. More recently, the show even gives him normal-ish arcs. A boutique pizza business with Chris called Mount Vesuvius turns Stewie into entrepreneur mode. A reminder that the villainous flavor can be repackaged as ambition, and ambition can look like running a pizza shop. The bit where a real-world food reviewer cameo lands on their shop is peak meta, and oddly validating for the little genius. Who knew world domination skills would translate so well into pizza marketing? The point is that later seasons use the character's past as seasoning rather than sauce. He's not stripped of his bite, he's just allowed more textures: jealousy, attachment, entrepreneurship, pride, theatrical meltdown, and the show keeps finding those for comedy and feeling. By season 23 and beyond, Stewie's chaos is familiar. The audience accepts his weirdness, the scene stops needing to prove he's dangerous and instead lets us enjoy his maximalism. Dramatic intros, overblown monologues, tender moments with Brian or Chris, and obsessive devotion to a stuffed bear. In cartoon form, that's called growth. Stewie style. After 20+ seasons, Stewie is a walking paradox. If you came for the villain, you got one of TV's most sustained jokes. And that's the trick. That's the reason Stewie keeps being worth watching. He's as complicated as he is funny, and the show understands exactly how to serve both. Whether he's building a time machine or plotting Lois's downfall, Stewie has proven that even a baby can steal the entire show. If you enjoyed this timeline, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more. Now, let us know in the comments, whose story should we cover next? See ya in the next video.